Okay, so welcome to our podcast. This is a little bit different today because this podcast is a spin-off of our radio show. Okay, Brian, I've known you for a couple of years now, and
Yes,
I'm
sir.
fascinated with your whole life and everything. What would you call yourself? Because we've interviewed scientists, doctors, but what are you? Because actually, real quick, out of all the people I've interviewed, you know so much about this field of longevity, anti-aging, and looking beautiful. And fashion, by the way. You always look sharp.
Thank you so much.
So
I rented the suit just for you.
Thank you.
Even though I said that the microphone felt kind of tight, I didn't know I had taken enough Redatrutide to fit in here.
Are you taking Redatrutide?
I just started a few months ago. I always like to try everything first.
Okay, wait. That's what I'm talking about. You're like a human guinea pig for everything.
Yeah.
Since we brought up
After Dr. Gonzalez, who you interviewed last week.
let's start with Reda. They call it Reda.
Yeah, Reda.
That is a GLP-3.
Yeah, well,
Right.
it's basically a triple hormone mechanism. So kind of like we saw with when Viagra first came out, then you had Cialis for 6-minute abs and then 5-minute abs.
Right.
So really, when you see semaglutide, it was GLP-1. So then you had tirzepatide, which had a second hormone pathway, which is GIP. And now you have Redatrutide, which has a triple agonist, glucagon being the third. So when you have a triple hormone mechanism, the more pathways, the logic is more metabolic activity. And what's most exciting about Reda is that glucagon pathway actually is not just about hunger suppression, but it's about building up more energy, right? Or being able to convert and minimize that metabolic or the muscle loss, right? Because the biggest issue everyone gets is, you get skinny fat, right? So if you think of glucagon is the metabolic opposite of insulin. Insulin stores energy, and glucagon helps to release energy or fat. So if you're actually burning more fat, your goal is not to lose a number off the scale. Your goal is to lose that number off the scale as long as more of it is fat and you're able to convert to more to muscle.
Specifically visceral fat.
100%.
Right.
Visceral fat, extremely dangerous. It's kind of like a silent killer that you don't see. So we always like to measure. That's one of the reasons we like another peptide called tesamorelin, which is a growth hormone secretagogue that helps you optimize your IGF-1, but it's really good at targeting visceral fat, which we feel is way more dangerous than just that subcutaneous.
Okay, but wait, I'm going to stay on with Reda real quick.
Yeah.
So you've been on it for how long?
I've been on it for 3 months now.
3 months. And how much do you take?
So right now I'm doing the dose, right, and this is a key thing because everyone's wants to get right into what are you taking or how much are you taking. It's so important that we're really practicing precision medicine. What I'm taking and what you need to take and what anyone else is all different.
Sure, but
So
you can compare.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
but I want to caveat that because it's so important to do this under medical supervision.
Because I'll tell you right now, I'm on week 3 of Reda.
Yeah, and how you feeling?
That's what I want to get into with you because I don't know if it's working, if it's not working, but I think it is working.
Yeah.
But I usually can tell when something's working when people
Listen, I'm at 198 pounds right now, and more importantly, again, than the number on the scale, my BMI has gone down, and my skeletal muscle mass. You want to target roughly 50% of your body weight being skeletal muscle mass. So of course, I'm not just taking the peptide and hoping for miracles, right? So yes, I'm taking the peptide in addition to other stacks. In fact, I brought some show and tell here for you today.
Oh, good.
But what's important is that you add. You got to make sure you're hydrating properly. You got to make sure you're doing some muscle, ideally heavy lifting to help build that muscle.
Well, you look a lot more fit than when I saw you last time.
Yeah. So that's the idea, right? Good. Is more toned, right? And
You look fit. So how much? What are you taking? How much Reda?
So right now on the Reda, I'm taking 550 units, which is about. I think it's about 3.5 milligrams every 2 weeks. So it's not a big dose.
Every 2 weeks. So you don't do it once a week.
I'm only doing it. I wasn't looking at it to lose weight.
Right.
I was looking just to curb that, that anxiety eating, the late night eating, and with two little kids and not sleeping too well and traveling a lot, it's so difficult to fall back into bad habits.
Yeah, with little kids too, you eat their snack, their leftovers. You don't. Yeah. So
Exactly.
Does it work for you?
I think it does work for me. Like I said, I wasn't trying to lose the weight, but in the 3 months that I've been on it, I've really seen, and you touched on it, a body composition shift. And that's what I'm very happy about. And I've seen more of this happen with Reda than I did previously with tirzepatide. Now, importantly, Reta still is in clinical trials, right? So it's hasn't been FDA approved yet. But what we're seeing early on as we're doing these research cases, it's extremely promising. You're looking at about an average of 20+% loss of body weight. But again, more importantly, adding that glucagon component.
But when does it kick in? I started week 3 today. And I'm kind of like, and I take, I don't have.
Have you been scaling up the dosing?
Here's the thing, and I'm going to speak to you like a normal person because I don't. So I mixed it, right? They told me how to mix it.
Right.
Then I put in 8 little lines. So whatever I take the 8 little lines, I put it in.
Units.
I heard that it could make you sick and nauseous. That didn't happen to me, but I also didn't feel like it suppressed my appetite. Right. Week 2, I went 9 little lines. Today I did 10 little. I went a full little thing, right? And I tried, today's the first day where before I came here, I tried to have some yogurt and berries, which I usually have before a podcast. I couldn't eat it all.
Right.
It was kind of weird.
That's what I was going to ask you. Is this the first time you ever take any of these medications?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's probably why it takes a little bit of accumulation in the body to kind of really start to trigger that metabolic activity. So the fact you've never done this before and you're only on week 3, that makes sense with what you're telling me, that you just are starting to feel the effects of it. I think it should only ramp up. So you got to trust the protocol, give it time, and make sure you're doing all the other things in parallel.
And probably stay on that same dose, do you think? Or
I would defer to what your medical professional told you.
There is no medical professional. Okay. This stuff's not FDA approved. I'm kind of going.
Right, but what I'm saying,
I'm talking to my buddy.
It sounds
my
like
buddy bought the peptide company. You got to meet him.
It sounds like that you're scaling you up slowly. So I would stick to whatever that regimen that they gave you is, and then let it go. I always tell people, give me 3 months, and in 3 months, you're on 3 weeks. In 3 months, if you haven't seen a shift, and I always ask people 2 questions. I go, listen, if the answer to either of these questions is no, then I can't help you. And the first one is, are you willing to make significant lifestyle changes? Okay, the answer better be yes to that. The second one is, you realize that this is a marathon and not a sprint. We have to measure distance traveled. And that is how we set the expectation. So
that's 2 questions. You said there were 3.
No, I said 2.
It's 2. Yeah. Okay. Wait. Okay. So I'm gonna get back now. We got sidetracked with Reta.
Yeah.
How did you become this? I mean, what would you call yourself? A longevity expert? I mean, Gary Brecka calls himself a human biologist. I think you're that.
Well, listen, Gary's a dear friend, and I think he's done amazing work and a huge advocate. We work very closely with the Ultimate Human, but I think his ability and his knowledge is really next level. I think I came into this business as a patient. And a lot of thanks to Dr. Gonzalez, right? I like to call him the Yoda of cell therapy. I mean, there's no one person that I'm more grateful for. He changed my life, and not even knowing he would. So the way I got into this, and man, my background, nothing to do with medicine. I was a trader. I was in telecommunications. It started with, he wanted to do a test or a trial on a bunch of MMA fighters down in Mexico. He's like, hey, we want to do this stem cell study. And I was like, stem cells? I had no idea what a stem cell was. I said, but listen, I trust you. I'll do it. So I flew down to Mexico with a bunch of MMA fighters. We did a whole mess of blood work. He was testing for 2 things.
Yeah, but what were you doing? Why would he come to you?
Well, because he needed a control patient to see the difference between these high intensity or, high performance athletes and myself, who likes to play one on TV.
So you were part of the experiment.
I was part of the experiment. I was one of the control patients.
Which, knowing you now, you loved.
I loved.
Yeah,
exactly. Okay. So I ate it up, and not knowing what I was getting myself into. So the way we did the stem cell treatment back then, it was what's called an autologous treatment, which means it came from myself. So they did a small procedure called the bone marrow aspirate, where they took stem cells from the back of my hip, and they call the posterior iliac crest. They spun it down, isolated the stem cells, and then they put it back into me.
Painful, I believe, right?
Well, they knocked me out about 15 minutes.
Okay.
I think they put me on the Michael Jackson medication for about 15 minutes. So from there, I had an IV done, and Johnjay, I could tell you, when I got out of that procedure, I was able to do a 4-foot box jump. I just had all this energy. I've never been able to duplicate the energy that I had from that first treatment ever, but it was just amazing, and it really got me going down the rabbit hole with stem cells, cell therapy, medicine. My dad was in pharmaceuticals for about 35 years. So I guess subconsciously I always had, I was always hearing about medicine and doctors and medication. And actually I was a pre-med major, funny enough, for 3 years. And I said, I don't want to wait 8 years to make money. I want to get into business, which is something that I've really enjoyed. And here I am, full circle, 25 years later, I'm starting, regenerative medical practice, focusing initially on what I thought was just cell therapy. And thanks again, like I said, to Rafael, because while that treatment was the first, it was a catalyst. So I just became a sponge to all this information. He was sending me tons of material and I was eating it all up. Then about 18 months later, I asked him, hey, does this stem cell stuff work on the knees? And he's like, of course it does. And then I had my knee injected. 4 months later, I was playing basketball again, full court, with guys significantly younger than me. And this was 2012. So this was 14 years ago. I'm going to be 50 now, and I'm still playing basketball full court with guys 20 years younger than me. And it's only because I've continued to do cell therapy in my knees to help me kind of offset those degenerative effects that the wear and tear that happens with life. And as we get older, it accelerates.
You don't look anywhere near 50 to me, by the way.
Thank you.
You don't. I'm not bullshitting you. It's
must
amazing.
be these good lights or something. I don't know.
No, dude, it must be your stem cells and probably everything else you got going on, right?
And again, it's, everybody in this day and age is looking for the Instagram, the quick fix. What can I do right now that's going to give me that? And there is no one thing, because we could sit here and do all the stem cells, all the NK cells in the world. But if you're not making, like I said earlier, these lifestyle changes and focusing on
eating, sleep, exercise, right? Everyone knows
sleeping, water.
It's like everybody knows what you got to do.
Right.
So if you're doing those things, I think these extra things help you.
These are the outliers.
Red light, sauna,
right.
NK, stem cells.
And we now have proof that, look, we know that all aging starts at the cellular level, right? And I think Dr. Gonzalez does a good job talking about senescence, right? So if the cell is cellularly inflamed, right? Think about cells having headphones on. And if they're not able to hear the signals, then you're not able to the treatment's not going to work well. So we're really big on identifying root cause, like some of the things you've been trying to do with eliminating toxins from your body, because the best cell therapies wouldn't be optimal if we're not identifying and eliminating root cause first. Then the cells come in, and it's like Mariano Rivera, right? You can't put Mariano Rivera if you're down 9-0. You're going to waste him. You're going to bring Mariano Rivera in when you're up 2-1 and you need to close the game.
Right.
And that's what that's how these cells are going to come in and
so you're doing everything right, add the cells.
And you add the cells.
But I'm going to talk about, for you though, 25 years ago, you weren't in this business. No. How did you get in this? Because I know you personally have a clinic in Miami.
Correct.
And then you're also involved with Cancun and Cabo.
Correct.
Right. So what came first? Because I know in Miami, it's one of the top clinics. I've heard of it even before you.
Oh, thank you.
Right. So, I mean, it's like, how does that happen? How do you get out of whatever business you're doing? And then I'm going to open this clinic, because I know there's tons of celebrities that go to your Miami clinic. I mean, some of the biggest names in the world, right? But your Miami clinic is a little different than the stem cell clinic in Mexico.
Correct.
So what is that called? Gentera?
It's called Gentera Center for Precision Medicine, yes.
Okay. And so how do you, not being a doctor, you can own that, but you have doctors that work for you?
Correct. So again, I got into it primarily as a passion play. I was turning 40. It was no longer about money. It was about passion and purpose.
Because you made your money, with real estate?
In telecommunications and trading.
Okay,
so my background, so I had all my Series 7, 63, all the licenses. I helped a foreign currency company go public. Then I got into telecommunications.
So you're loaded. Okay, so you how do you open up Gentera?
So again, I was turning 40, and then I said, and armed with all the information and living the benefits of cell therapy. Initially, I just got in to open a stem cell center to do IVs, autologous stem cells for orthopedics. So I wanted to inject people, take their bone marrow, re-inject it into their joints, and help them get better. But very quickly, I noticed that really what I was trying to do is not offer cell therapies. I was really trying to offer people a personalized approach to medicine. And not being a doctor or a scientist really allowed me to look at it from the patient standpoint. And I feel no one's ever looked at medicine from the patient standpoint, which allows me to cut through all the bureaucracy and say, what do you need? And what you and I need are completely different. The only way I'm going to be able to identify that is run extensive diagnostics and then be able to understand what your goals are. And with those 2 points, I could put together a very personalized protocol that will help, we can measure and help get you better. So as time passed and I had opened Gentera, and more from a cell therapy center to offering, hormones, IVs, all the aesthetics. And again, it's not offering one treatment or the other, is that these are all the treatments that I needed to be able to make your treatments more personalized. And all revolving around Diagnostics, right? I recently partnered with a company called Prenuvo, which is kind of
I've heard of them.
do the full body MRI.
Yeah.
We work also with Clearly, which is
I'm doing Clearly in a couple weeks.
well, there you go. So
That's the whole heart scan.
the whole heart scan, which
Yeah.
is amazing. I mean, it will. Wait till you see that when you get your report back.
Yeah, I've done it. I did it 2 years ago.
did it 2
and
years
it's
ago.
time.
And you did some IV plaque X, I'm assuming,
I did a Plaque X. Yeah, I've done that twice. I'm
Right.
hoping for some
to kind of help liquefy some of that
the calcium.
Calcium, exactly.
Yeah.
And because what gets you more than the heart plaque
You're
is,
unbelievable. Go ahead.
what gets you more than the hard plaque or the calcium is the soft or actually the high density plaque, right?
Right.
That's the one that could break off, and we're reading about you in the paper the next day.
Right.
So when you, I'm sure you remember when you see that report, it takes all of the blood vessels to and from your heart, and it will show you where all that calcification is. Not only that, it'll tell you what type of calcification is. I mean, we've had people that come in with a 0 calcium score, for instance. And I don't remember in your particular case, but a 0 calcium score. But then when we do this test, they'll have a 40, 50, 60% block of the soft plaque.
And that's bad.
And
the
that's
soft
bad.
plaque is bad.
That's bad.
So someone like me that the plaque is already hardened, I heard that's good because the damage
It's
has already
not good.
happened.
Let's call it less bad.
Less bad.
Right.
It's just
It's
the
more of a
damage has
chronic
already
thing.
happened.
Correct.
And you can't get rid of it, really, can you?
It's hard. It's harder to get rid of, even though with like the plaque X or some other treatments, you could maybe potentially improve that. Initially, we thought we could never reverse calcium score to a 0. We're starting to see that maybe that's not 100% correct.
So
Time will tell.
how can calcium get reversed?
Well, again, I think with these treatments like phosphatidylcholine,
What's that?
IV plaque X.
That's
then
Plaque X? Phosphatidylcholine?
Yes.
Oh, I've heard that. I didn't know the two are the same thing.
That's just the trade name.
Wait, so how do you say it again?
Phosphatidylcholine. It's a mouthful.
Oh, and that's through an IV drip.
That's through an IV. It's a series of IV drips, correct.
I've heard Gary Brecka talk about that.
Yes.
But I didn't know that was Plaque X.
Yes, correct.
Oh my God.
And then in
See,
combination,
because you're talking like a patient.
exactly.
Okay.
I think, and again, I think talking like a patient, because right now we have this entire, like we're in the middle of this movement that's caught steam. I think the only way we're going to continue to keep this momentum is filter the noise and continue to realize that it's all about bringing the solution to the individual, not an off-the-shelf to the masses.
Wait, but tell me what you've seen with Plaque X. With Plaque X, it can get rid of the soft plaque,
We've seen improvements in the soft plaque,
but not the hard plaque.
Well, not significantly, but we haven't seen an acceleration either.
Right. Okay.
So again, I think those are good things.
Yeah, I'm excited for because I think I've done Plaque X 3 times. The thing about Plaque X, it's a commitment.
It's a commitment.
It's like 10 weeks of weekly IVs or twice a week. I can't remember what it was, but I was doing it. Yeah, I was doing them all the time. So I'm excited to see that progress because that's the thing. Like you could also have a high calcium score, but because it's hard plaque, you're okay, if that makes sense, right?
And you're less at risk. That's why I think the Clearly or the equivalent type hard scans are so important because you really need to see, and not only the number, but where is this plaque located?
Yeah.
Right? Because if depending on if it's down in your widowmaker or whatnot, significantly more chance for a casualty, God forbid, if something goes astray there. So you want to mitigate accordingly if you have to get intervention with a stent or whatnot. And the way these stints are being now, I mean, we found significant blockage, and the next day they've been stinted and they don't skip a beat. So the technology's really gotten good. So as the diagnostics continues to improve, I think the onus is on the patient to use these tools to be able to get ahead of this. And the more you get ahead of it, the less chronic things become, the easier they are to reverse or slow their progression.
Is a stent bad?
A stent is not bad.
You can live a normal life with a stent. You can be an elite level athlete with a stent.
Again, that's not the only factor because we have to see ejection fraction and other things. Right. But let's say in a silo, that statement is correct.
Are you going to move Gentera, like franchise it or put it in other markets?
We're in the process now of expanding not only nationally, but internationally.
Really?
And again, our goal is not necessarily to build so many brick and mortars, but it's more to have, the access and have strategic partnerships and come into that one-to-many, right? So get in with venues that are, as now we're seeing this massive push where I think the biggest thing we're going to see hotels adding to their portfolios is a longevity.
I saw that with
hands down
a company that did that with the Four Seasons in Maui.
Correct.
They had their own little Gentera in there.
I think the CEO of Marriott had said where they did a survey. They have the largest database worldwide, hundreds of millions of people in their database, and the overwhelming response of what people would want to see is a longevity wellness component in their facility. So if you think before it was, hey, I'd like to have a spa, and now it's just, I don't want to leave my house. And then the hardest thing, as you know, when you travel is continuing that healthy lifestyle. So now if that's inculcated into where you're staying, even if it's a day, 2, a week, whatever it may be, then guess what? You're not going to skip a beat.
That's why I like the hotel you're staying at. Have you checked in yet?
Yeah, phenomenal.
Okay, because you see their spa?
Yeah. It's
And the gym and the hot tub and the cold plunge and the infrared? Yeah.
That's perfect. And you're going to continue, I think, to see that evolution. And I don't think any new property now will be launched without having some of those components. And you may even see them start to push even more of the medical scope to get more into basic medical therapies as well.
So what for you, do you have a daily routine of stuff, of vitamins you take and exercise? Like, what do you do when you wake up? When do you eat? Like, I want to talk about you, because I think what you've done to yourself is amazing.
Thank you. So I think, again, I get up pretty early, primarily due to the kids, get them ready. I will always start my day, drink some water with my electrolytes first to kind of hydrate.
Is there a brand of electrolytes you use?
So again, we're working very closely with Gary. I do the Perfect Aminos.
Okay.
So
okay. So then you have that. Then what?
That's what I take. Then from there, I'll do a yogurt or a kefir to kind of help coat the system, and then before I have my coffee. That's kind of my.
What kind of coffee? Like, I want to know everything you do.
Yeah.
Like,
So
what brand?
with the coffee, usually if I do it at home, I'll do a cold brew mixed with either a coconut milk or maybe a 2%
Any kind of cold brew?
grass fed. I don't do any of the oats or anything like that. So I'll stick to either coconut or a grass fed cow milk.
But just a cold brew from Starbucks? Or
No. I'll buy a cold. I have different cold brew. I get a Whole Foods.
So the brand isn't that important.
No. I think you just want to make sure that, again, it's just pure coffee and
Right. No sugar or nothing.
No sugar.
And you put the butter in it or whatever it is?
No, I'm not doing like the keto to add like the ghee butter.
Yeah,
no.
And how come that not hot coffee?
I'll also do. I will alternate, and then
okay.
sometimes then when I get to the office, I'll then have espresso, double espresso, all black.
So if I'm following my day with your day, I'm very similar. But when I have my coffee, I saw somewhere to put creatine in your coffee. So I put a scoop, 5 milligrams of creatine in my coffee. I heard that's really good for your brain.
Creatine's great. I think there's a ton of great studies on creatine. I've been leaving my creatine for post-workout. Not that you can't have it, but I've been leaving it for my post-workout. I will immediately, first thing I do after my workout, I'll either have a protein shake with the creatine or just my water, electrolytes, and creatine.
How much creatine?
I do one of the creatine HCl, one of the pouches.
I've never heard of that. Is that?
Yeah, it's just, there's monohydrate, and then there's HCl, which sometimes the monohydrate, you feel a little bit more bloated. This has a faster absorption.
Oh, I've never heard of that.
So I've kind of been trying this out to see if it suits me better.
Is there a brand?
So again, Ultimate Human just launched.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know.
And then there's a couple other HCl brands that.
Because I do Momentous.
Momentous is good.
But I don't think it's the mono.
It's a mono.
It's a powder, and I put it in there, and I heard 5 milligrams what you should take, and then I hear some people saying 10 to 20 but it does make you retain water. But I heard it's just so good for you.
Yeah.
But I'm afraid to go up higher because I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think if you're kind of stepping up and you're listening to your body, it's so important. And now, since you've been doing a great job, by the way. Now that I've known you a few years, I've seen your progression as well, and you've really become a student of the game. And I think that's important because you've learned to listen to your body and adjust accordingly.
Well, I listen. Sometimes I feel like I text you too much.
No, at all.
Because
I'm glad I could help.
There's doctor's point of view, and then there's your point of view, which, just between you and me and whoever's watching this, that I feel that you have this, like I feel like the same with you. Like, I feel like, do you know what I mean? Like, I want to know, like, whatever you're doing, like, I agree with 100%, if that makes sense.
And I just try to make it real, because I always say there's 2 reasons patients fall off. One is treatment fatigue, right? Because it's just too much, too fast. It's just not sustainable. And the other one's dollar fatigue. These things get expensive.
Oh, yeah,
and,
I know.
And if you're supplementing for the sake of supplementing without any rhyme or reason, then you could spend a fortune. Every Instagram post you scroll, you're doom scrolling, you'll buy 10 things before.
I do it all the time.
Before you're done. But what is the goal? Is the goal to take it because it sounds good? Or do you want to cumulatively have them contribute? And the only way you could quantify that is doing recent blood work and diagnostics to measure that progress. Otherwise, we don't even know if it's really working. And again, I always tell people, yes, you have to look at this as an investment, not as an expense. So that changes the paradigm, right? Because for so long we've been used to Does my insurance cover that? You got to change that mindset. Insurance is not going to help anything proactively. Hopefully, we'll change that in time. But for right now,
that was hard to take when I signed up with my doctor.
Of course,
or it was very hard because that's not insurance doesn't pay for that. But it's like it took a while for my wife to buy in on it too. Like, hey, this is investment. It's one of the things I do. I do Hyperbaric. Do you do Hyperbaric?
Yeah, I have one at the office.
You do?
Yeah.
Which kind do you have?
I'll take sometimes a lot of my calls in there. I have a soft chamber at the moment, but I'm going to be upgrading to a hard chamber. So it goes to about 1.6 I have the oxygen cannula.
Have you seen Carrie's, my doctor's?
I haven't seen. I heard she has amazing.
She's got 4 of these huge tanks.
Yeah, the hard ones. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Those are therapeutic.
You go in there for 90 minutes. It's a game changer.
Yeah, those will go over 2 atmospheres.
I saw the thing that Brian Johnson, the guy that's trying to live to be 1,000 years old, he said out of all the studies he's done, all of them, everything he's done, the one thing that he has seen work is hyperbaric. He said, I think he did 40 days straight. I think he did 90 minutes and he took a 20-minute break, or he took a break at 20 minutes and then went back in. And he said his telomeres went longer. Everything was better. He saw more benefits than anything.
Man, listen, the presence of, I know we heard this, right? Gary says it all the time. The presence of oxygen is the absence of disease, right? So if you're able to drive high percentage oxygen, we're only breathing about 22, 23% oxygen at atmosphere. Mm-hmm. So if you're driving close to 100% oxygen at a higher pressure, you're driving that through your entire vascular system, your brain, things are just going to absorb better. And so I've been a huge fan. In fact, the single most excited I was when I opened Gentera was, where do I put my hyperbaric chamber?
Oh, really?
Yeah. This was before anyone had one.
Right.
I was just where do I put mine?
Right.
And I wanted to be the first
one.
So
you've had it that long?
I've had it that long. And maybe it's also because, I dive a lot. So I'm used to hearing about the hyperbarics from diving, but I read so much of the literature and it's old. It's nothing new.
No, it's been around forever.
It's just become more mainstream now.
Because they see the anti-aging, the longevity.
Exactly.
Okay, so what else do you do? Do you do the NAD?
So NAD, I used to do it more frequently. Now, I think the NAD IVs are tough to do consistently because of it's a time commitment as well. And I'm more important for me, or what I'm more concerned about is also more than infusing NAD is how am I able to generate more of my own, similar to kind of testosterone. So I like to I'm doing more of the mitochondrial-derived peptides like MOTS-C, things that could kind of
I've heard of that.
Give me a bigger battery so that I could produce more NAD.
So MOTS-C helps your body produce NAD?
Yeah, so MOTS-C is just, not necessarily just NAD, but it really helps at the mitochondrial level, which as we know is the powerhouse of the cell, right? And helps to drive that. So if the mitochondria, or let's say if the battery is not fully charged, right? Or if you have a big car and a small battery, again, they're not going to, you're not going to get peak performance. Mm-hmm. So yes, I may get a flush of NAD into my system, but if I can't sustain that, then what good is it? Again, and you start to see a lot of what I'm saying, it's all about improving the playing field so that these therapeutics could do a better job.
But would you say take an NAD? So my NAD background is I started doing it in an IV drip, but I didn't have the time. So I would do it in 20 minutes.
Right.
1,000,
and you'd feel this
1,000 milligrams. Chest. I felt like I was having heart failure. It was terrible, but I was doing it for a long time. Now I've got it in a shot, and I just give myself a shot every Monday or Tuesday at 400, I think. Right. And I don't know if it helps. I can't tell anything different, but I just believe in it. So I hope it's doing something.
No. Look, I think that NAD is we can't live without NAD. So let me put it that way. But I guess I'm still need to see more data on the sustained long-term benefit of doing it so frequently, to make sure that, again, I'm moving the needle.
But MOTS-C will help your body create it.
So I think things like MOTS-C, also SS31, which is a master antioxidant. And it's funny, I actually brought a couple of them.
Are we going to do some together?
Just to show you.
Yeah.
So here's kind of what some of the things that I'm taking right now. So here's KPV, which is really good for immune health.
I've never heard of that before.
So here's tesamorelin, which I touched on it briefly.
I've heard of that. That helps with HGH or whatever.
Secretomes, right, to help optimize IGF-1. And ideally, it's targeting visceral fat. And then SS31, which is a master antioxidant. I'm also on MOTS-C, but it's once a week. So I'm not, and you see So I actually took my kid's little Game Boy pack, and
I was gonna say,
what a great peptide carrier this
it
is.
looks so professional. And they don't have to be chilled?
They do have to be chilled, so I just brought them for show and tell. I'm going to take them back to the fridge. So it's not like by leaving them out for a little. It's not like they're stem cells that they're going to denature very quickly. So as long as I'm not exposing them, to hot, very hot temperatures, and I get them back into the cold, they'll be fine.
But those are your daily ones.
Those are my daily ones, correct?
So
and then I have the Reda once a week, the Mod C once a week, and then I'm also on BPC, but I took that this morning. I didn't bring that with me.
How often do you do BPC?
So BPC, I'm doing it every day.
Just because it's recovery?
Just because it's recovery. And everything I do, I cycle on and off. Why? For nothing else, not because I'm worried about one thing or the other, is that you need to give the receptors times to like reset, right? And that's kind of just what.
How much time?
So depending on the peptide, anywhere between 1 to 3 months.
Are you keeping track on paper somewhere or just up here?
No, I mean, I usually do it by when I do my blood work.
Okay.
And then, and again, look, I'm also going to give you a practical approach, right? Because again, I'm thinking of it as a patient. If I sit here, and with all due respect for all the great things he's doing, if I Brian Johnson it, am I really going to be, if I'm living to make this, like every waking moment, I'm just here trying to fulfill something, am I enjoying my life? Why do I want to make it to 125?
Right.
That just means 25 more years of having to do all this crap.
Right.
So I always say, give me 75 to 95 rock star.
Right.
And we'll worry about it later.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
That's what I want to work. And I think that's more realistic. Everyone's worried about the back end number, but if from 100 to 125, I'm kicking it, and I'm just not at this optimal. Like I want to feel like I feel today. That's what I'm aiming for, and that's I think a realistic target.
Mm-hmm. And all that stuff is helping you feel great.
I'm feeling extremely optimal. Like I said, I'm turning 50, and I'll tell you one thing. I notice more when I'm not on it than when I'm on it, because I think when you feel good, you don't notice the delta.
Right.
But when you feel bad, you do.
Right.
So I think the fact that I feel so good, I'm so energetic, I'm able to go sometimes on short days if I need it. I think that that's a testament, right? And of course, I complement with cell therapies and all of this as well.
But what does BPC do? You take it every day?
Yeah.
Every day. So I always thought it was for if you were injured, but you're taking it just...
No, I mean, if you're injured as well, so I have a shoulder injury.
Oh, so you do have an injury.
I have a shoulder,
but if you weren't injured, would you still take it?
I would still take it because I think it also helps with gut health. And I think, as we know, 70 to 80% of our immune system's in our gut. So I'm always, and that's why I love KPV as well. So if I'm able to optimize my gut health, like we forget how important that is. Pretty much so much of our conditions start with an immune system issue that originates in the gut, right? So I want to keep that always at the optimal level. We're seeing, I think, almost pandemic levels of an increase in colon cancers or just GI cancers in people under 50, stuff that we hadn't seen before. Why? Who knows? It could be a variety of reasons. I'm not here to guess why that is, right? But what I can tell you is that I don't need to tell you the why, but if I'm doing my part, like the hummingbird, I'm doing the best that I can, right? Dropping one drop of water on the fire, that's better than the next guy.
Right.
And that's my approach.
But the KPV, what does that do?
So KPV is really good for immune boost and gut health.
And then the other one was CS something.
Oh, SS31. It's a master antioxidant, 1,000 times more powerful than glutathione. And I'm sure you've heard of glutathione.
I've heard of glutathione.
It's synthesized in the liver. Really good antioxidant. So we want to have healthy.
What does that mean when you're an antioxidant? What does that mean? What is
so
oxidative
stress is really what is a trigger for a lot of chronic conditions, right? So if we're able to mitigate, and look, we need a certain amount of oxidative stress. We can't have only antioxidants because then you go in the other direction. But with the amount of toxins that we're being exposed to on a daily basis from the air, the water, the food, the clothes, everywhere, right? We want to make sure that we're offsetting that as much as possible.
And that's what that does.
Right.
Just so you take 3 injections every day.
Right.
Some days.
No, I'm doing more than that, but 3 right. Those are the 3 I brought. I already did BPC this morning.
So 4 or 5 injections every day, and you can't mix them in one shot.
Look, what I think a lot of people like with the stacks, I think some stacks may have some benefits, but there's different what's called osmolarities in each, and there are different amino acids in each of these peptides where I think you may denature. And again, this is still so new that I'm moving the needle based on what I'm seeing. I've treated thousands, and by I mean the practice. Again, I'm not a physician, but our practice treated thousands of patients over the years, and I've been fortunate. I said I wouldn't change my patients or my team for anybody because they're so focused on understanding. In fact, I even trademarked the hashtag, which is "Feel Better About You," because that means something different for everyone.
That's good. That's a great hashtag. That's a great slogan. Feel better about you. Wow. Man, what about the TB500?
So TB500, that's probably the most common stack you'll see. In fact,
when you say stack, you're talking about put it all in one injection?
Yeah, like more than one peptide together.
In a shot, okay.
Like you heard of the Wolverine?
Yeah, that's TB500.
Which is usually BPC, TB, and then sometimes they'll add KPV.
Right.
So that's what I mean by
So stack means put it all in one shot?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
More than one.
Okay, shift gear of some peptide. What's in the little other container for show and tell?
Oh, so this was when we get into the part of exosomes. I want to show you one of the products that we're working in the lab now to get an exosome product out with another very popular peptide for aesthetics called GHK copper.
Oh, I've heard of the copper thing too.
Yeah. Purple Rain.
Yeah, so is that a lotion?
This is a serum that we're testing right now. We're getting some really amazing results. It's clinical grade only, so you can only get it through practitioner. But we're tweaking some formulas to keep optimizing it before we launch it.
For your face?
Yeah, for face. Yeah, face, body, hands.
So what would it do?
So again, if we go about the main ingredient is our Secretomes, which includes our exosomes. So we have an exosome company called Juvexo, which the exosomes, and when you did your session or your podcast with Dr. Gonzalez, I know you kind of asked, hey, how is stem cells compared to exosomes, right? So exosomes are secreted by stem cells, right? So these are these micro vesicles, these messengers, if you will, that will communicate, right? They will take this regenerative message from the healthy cell to the damaged cell and then kind of help them regenerate. Now, it's not just an exosome that helps this happen, right? And that's why we call it secretomes, because the stem cell secretes more than just the exosomes. The stem cells secrete the exosomes, and in our case, Dr. Gonzalez in his genius knew that if you're trying to get your exosomes to be optimal for a particular condition, you have to make sure that the friends that are at the party with the exosomes are there to add value. So what did he do? He coerced his stem cells to secrete not just the exosomes, but also hyaluronic acid, which, as you know, is extremely important for anything beauty and joints, collagen, type 1 and 3, and also elastin, other growth factors, and something called, they're called, oh God, just slipped my mind now, that it's basically like a peptide, like SS31, which, not SS31, oh God.
You need NAD.
LL, it's been a long flight. LL47, right? So this is a peptide that kind of helps. It's beta defensins. Thank you. Let's see, you threw NAD and it made it into my cells by osmosis. So LL37, and these are beta defensins, which are antimicrobial, antibacterial. So it really helps to kind of at that level to kind of kill that, right? So he was able to capture all of that and be able to package it in a little vial, where today, we're selling it not all over throughout the country, but throughout the world now. In fact, we were just opening up a distribution overseas, and this product has really been nothing short of amazing in complementing treatments such as microneedling, lasers.
So you microneedle and you rub it all in?
Correct.
That's what that is? Or that's
what we do in the clinic, and then this is good to kind of take home and kind of the ongoing, right? Because the treatment doesn't just end when you finish it at the clinic. You have to have that ongoing benefit.
Do you microneedle? Have you done that to your face?
Yes, many times. I'm a big proponent of it, and I like to do things that help my body do more of what it used to do before, as opposed to just injecting Botox and fillers, things that are not doing anything more than what I mentioned earlier and giving me an instant look. And I think over time, if I'm helping produce more collagen, then guess what? I'm going to help kind of keep things going a little longer than just filling in to kind of for short-term benefit.
Do any of these help your sleep? And if so, what's your sleep score?
So my sleep score, it's interesting because I've noticed with Redatrutide, or actually with any of the GLPs, I've noticed that my HRV has dropped, my heart rate has gone up, and I'm not sleeping as good. I think it's because of the accelerated metabolic activity. And when I'm off of it, I see that then I'll have my 83, 85, 90, 95 sleep scores.
Okay, so on it, what are you, 70s?
I'm like, 70s, 80s.
Okay, so the first time I heard about Redatrutide was having lunch with this guy. And he tells me his body fat is 9%. He's 50 years old, in his 50s.
Great.
9%.
Yeah.
I go, what are you doing? He goes, I practice jujitsu. And I go, that's it? He goes, oh, and I'm on Red. He explains Redatrutide to me, right? And he says his sleep score is terrible. Then he shows me his heart rate. His heart rate is 95, right? And I'm like, that's terrible.
It's terrible.
And he's taking the DCIP, whatever it is, to help you sleep, right? And he still has terrible. So I'm like, I'm never going to do the Redatrutide. Then I have lunch with another buddy of mine. I haven't seen him in a while. He comes into lunch shredded. Body fat, 9%, 65 years old. He's on Reda. His heart rate is 49. 49. That's like elite level athlete.
Is this guy like a long distance runner?
No. As far as I know, he's not.
Okay.
But he's in amazing shape. And then he's the one that put me on. He owns a peptide company.
Yeah.
And he's got all kinds of stuff going. I mean, that's not what he does. That's what he does as just for fun.
But the curious thing is that you've looked at them both at this timeline, but that's how important it is. What did they do leading up to that?
Yeah, you're right? So I need to find out what but the other guy with the 95 heart rate, I mean, he's doing all kinds of stuff, lots of stresses. I mean, they're both CEOs. They both make very good living for each other, for themselves. But I'm just like, so I went with my friend who's 49. I was like, okay, I'll do it, man. I'm going to go with you. I'm going to trust your peptide. And so I'm on week 3 doing it.
But you see DSIP, which is deep sleep inducing peptide. Again, you can't expect a miracle out of a peptide if you're not doing the other things, right? So, and that's why we want to make sure this is done under medical supervision, because you could just be, peptides could just be another way of masking underlying conditions if you're not doing all the other things right. So you could potentially mask something that you would have otherwise uncovered because you're throwing these peptides at it. So.
Well, then the dude with the 95, he goes and freaking he has a session with mushrooms. What do you call that? What do you call it?
Psilocybin.
Yeah, he does that, right? Then he starts sending me his HRV goes through the roof, like to 200 or something like that. And he said,
I call those a try anything guys.
Yeah. Oh, he's a try anything guy. Yeah.
And with no rhyme or reason, like I said, no metrics. Like, man, I can't state it enough. You have to be able to know. Like if I told you right now, hey, you got to get to Miami. I got to give you the path to get there. Otherwise, you could go the wrong way.
Right.
So it's so important. Otherwise, it's no different than medicine 1.0. And that's what we're trying to move away from.
So you're not the try anything guy.
No. I will try anything that obviously for me to try it. Yes.
You would have medical supervision when you try it.
Correct. And like you said, I will guinea pig thing, but by the time I guinea pig it, there's sufficient clinical data already. And I trust Dr. Gonzalez and all the work he's done for his entire career he's put into it, where anything he's doing, I'm subscribing.
What's your take on the plasma exchange?
So I think plasma exchange has its benefits.
Because I've seen Gary Brecka do it.
Right.
I've seen Mark Hyman do it. Joe Rogan done it. A bunch of celebrities have done it, or they hold the bag of their waste. I've done it.
So I think there's definite benefits to it, but again, I think it's so important to understand are you throwing out the baby with the bathwater? And if I'm throwing away all of this plasma, you're throwing away some good stuff there. And I still want to make sure that albumin that's being substituted is solid and that we're not going to have any issues. But for people that are chronically inflamed, have issues going on, I think they're going to see the biggest benefits. The ones that are doing it purely for longevity with nothing significant on the underlying cause, I think time will tell on what the longevity benefit of TP is.
That would be me. Right. I just did it. The opportunity jumped on it. I've done it 3 times.
Correct. And look, and I've done an apheresis, which is similar.
Hey, what's the difference?
So plasma is just
Oh, they put it back in.
Yeah, they put Well,
they clean your plasma.
Right, and they're not substituting with anything. It's just coming in, filtering, and coming back.
Which is different than EBOO.
It's right because EBOO, what it does is it's almost like an ozone dialysis is what EBOO is, where it's taking the blood, it's running it through a filter, collecting, inflammation. Then it's adding ozone gas, which is, as you know, it's ozone will basically is there to sterilize any toxins, in the blood. Then it runs it back through a UV light or photobiomodulation, and then it comes back in. And if you see the difference in color, you'll see
comes out
something's
pink.
happening.
Go
But
back
that's
pink.
also EBOO is something that's not for everybody. So you have to
you done
know
it?
what I've done it 3 times.
Oh yeah.
You have to know the contraindications on that because you have to monitor glucose. So again, places that start to offer things because it's a fad without that medical backing, they could run it themselves. Just like an IV, even an IV.
Right. But
You
there
could
are
run
places that are like incredible places that
course.
are popping up, that franchises of places that pop up that if they like, I went to a place and did it and I didn't know anything. I just did it. But I know that it's based out of Los Angeles. I know some credible people that have been there. So that's why I believed in it.
Yeah, I think you did it with Next.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
So Next, I think Dr. Dershan's doing things. He's doing a lot of great things. So I think they're doing it right. And again, I think conceptually it's sound. I will do it at some point. What I'm saying is I don't know how much it's moving the needle.
Do you offer those services at your clinic in Miami?
What I offer EBOO.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
You have the EBOO machines and all that?
Correct.
How many doctors do you have there?
I have 7 with different specialties.
Oh man.
So
how big is your clinic?
We have a little bit over 10,000 square feet. So we have the prenuvo area.
You already got the prenuvo machines in there?
Already built.
Did you have to remodel for that?
Total build out. It's its own wing.
Really?
Yeah.
So that's like an MRI machine, right?
It's an MRI. We're using their proprietary technology to really give you a whole body scan.
Wow. Okay. So you got prenuvo in there. What else?
Prenuvo. So then I have a full plastic surgery component. So we do all
like legit plastic surgery, like liposuction, nose jobs, boob jobs.
But there again, I'm really trying to introduce kind of our cell therapies into that. So when they're doing the fat transfers, adding exosomes, that type of stuff to really have a unique differentiator, right? Wow. And then on the orthopedics, so I have a pain management orthopedic surgeon. We also have a concierge primary care. So you have unlimited access to our doctor, anything you need from a prescription to blood work to a specialist. When you call me and say, hey, do you know this doctor? Could you get me in? We could fast track an appointment. So it's really a community, a network, and we're really blessed. We have some of the best doctors. Not only forget the ones only that work under my ecosystem, but just nationwide, like Dr. Dan Rubin, so many doctors that we work with throughout Dr. Ram Dandeliah and one of the top cardiac guys over at Cedar Sinai in LA. Just really high level guys that are all contributing to this momentum. And I think that
all for Gentera in Miami.
Well, not for Gentera, but we collaborate with each other.
Right.
We'll refer a patient.
Right.
We'll call to ask, hey, I have this patient for let's say for a cardiac condition. I'm going to refer them to you. So it's not all about, and that's the thing. I'm not just about keeping it under my bubble. It's introducing them into all the guys that are doing it right, and it all takes care of itself.
Is there anything you know of that helps with prostate issues?
So, what prostate issues in particular, like BPH, prostatitis?
Yeah, maybe prostatitis or just, I don't know, whatever prostate issues that guys have.
Yeah, so I think that with prostate, it's tricky, right? Because that's another one that we're seeing an increase, crazy amounts of prostate cancer. Again, early detection is so important, getting your blood work. So the second you start to see any sort of elevated PSA, you have to monitor, it could be an infection, right? Prostatitis. It could be what's called a benign prostate hyperplasia or BPH. There's medication for that. But again, I think usually by adjusting lifestyle, right? And then attacking, like if you're doing the cell therapies to help with your systemic inflammation, a lot of times you see these things get better.
Yeah, like you think NK could come in and eat up.
And if there's one therapy that I'm so excited about, is NK cells, because there's no one else that's doing it.
You mean outside of ReHealth?
Outside of ReHealth, right. Exactly. And
you can't do NK in the United States, right?
You can't do because anything you're doing systemically, what I mean, like an IV, it's considered a drug, right?
Okay.
So if I'm taking anything out of you, I'm manipulating it, I'm putting it back in, FDA considers that a drug.
So you can't do that. You cannot do it in the United States.
You cannot do that.
Okay. So ReHealth does that. I've done it twice. How many times have you done NK?
I've done it twice as well.
Okay. Yeah. How many did you get with your?
I think I got between 2 and 4 billion.
And then you did the blood draw one time and then they split it up?
Right.
Yeah, that's what they did to me.
Correct.
Okay.
And after that publication that we put out in 2022, where there's two primary anti-aging markers that we studied. One is called beta-gal and the other one is called P16. We saw that all the patients that we treated had a reduction in that. These are markers that as we get older, we see them, they're consistent in everyone at old age. So by setting this back on all these patients, we stumbled upon an anti-aging therapy. We weren't looking for that. Serendipitously, we found that. And now as we've continued to test our patients, I mean, we've had people get instantaneously cured of like IBS, turns off the IBS marker. Wow. So we're really excited. And I think.
What have you seen in your own body?
In myself, so we tested my anti-aging markers and they came down as well. So I think what we're going to see is that this in combination with stem cells, cumulative over time, we're going to see an improvement in all of our anti-aging markers, from telomeres to our inflammatory cytokines to our, to just our overall immune health. And that is where we have to continue the conversation if we're going to discuss living anything longer.
Right. Let me go to I talked about
Hopefully I didn't bore you too much.
Dude, you didn't bore me at all. At all. So I was talking about you being on here today. Let me get into the questions. What's one health habit people think is important, but actually isn't? That's funny. I was going to ask you that too. I was going to ask you more about, is there something somebody's doing? You say, like, to me, methane blue, don't do it. But I don't know. I'm not a doctor. But is there something like that?
I think one, and not to speak bad about anyone who's doing it, I still haven't seen enough in cryotherapy to justify. Like, I'm not sure the juice is worth the squeeze.
That's interesting.
And I think that the offsetting the cold and hot therapy, I'm a bigger proponent of what I'm seeing, because you get the cold shock and the hot and the heat shock proteins, and kind of, throwing those into the mix. I like that better than having to put yourself into an extreme cold for 3 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's one that I think has gotten maybe more hype over the years, and one that I wouldn't consider adding to my clinic.
If you do hot cold therapies, and let's say it's evening, what's the last one you should do? Like, I always debate that, meaning I hot tub and cold plunge in sauna a couple times a day. I sauna once, but like, I will in the morning before I go to work, I hot tub, then I jump in the cold plunge, and then I go to work. Right. So I'm pumped.
Right.
In the evening, I'm trying to find out what works best for me by monitoring my sleep. Like, I will hot tub, cold plunge, hang out, then go to bed. And I think my sleep score is whatever. So I tried to cold plunge, hot tub, then I'm sweating like a pig before I go to bed. So what I most recently at night, hot tub for 5-10 minutes because it feels so good.
Yeah.
Cold plunge for a minute, jump back in the hot tub, then get out and go at.
I don't have the exact answer, but I've tried to do the same thing myself. And I haven't come up across. But at night, I like to end with hot, because of like you said, the relaxation.
Because
component.
it relaxes you and lowers your heart rate, which should help you. But then I start sweating like a pig.
Well, then that becomes either get yourself a sleep aid or lower the AC.
I got the sleep aid. Do you have the sleep aid?
Yeah.
Do you have the sleep aid? So I want to look at how you set your settings are, because I don't know if I can do the settings right.
Oh yeah, I'll show you after.
Okay, yeah. Good. What's one supplement most people are wasting money on?
That's it. What's one supplement people waste?
I feel like I need a good multivitamin. Do you know a good multivitamin?
And so my answer is going to be, now you're able to get customized multivitamins.
Right.
So my answer would be, if we're able to get there's a company we work with that we do, the labs will do your micronutrients, and based on those results, you'll get a custom vitamin pack that lasts you about 12 weeks. And because I think that again, it should be precision vitamins as opposed to, hey, buy this one or buy that one. Because again, if I'm giving you a multivitamin without knowing what your makeup is, then I'm just guessing. So
yeah, I should probably.
I think we could get more precise now. We should.
You do that? You offer that at your clinic, or is there a company people would? What's something in health or biohacking sounds crazy, but it actually works?
If we're talking about, let's say in the U.S., because we can't do this, we can't do it any other way. But I think extracting stem cells from you, most people thinking of having a corkscrew needle driven into your, posterior, into your hip or into another joint to extract stem cells to then have it go back in a joint is pretty crazy. But man, there's there's a lot of science. We've seen a lot of people get better. And in lieu of doing like the treatments that you've done in Mexico and we're doing, it's the best thing we have available to us.
In the United States,
the US.
but Mexico, like ReHealth is a lot better.
Right.
Okay.
But it's something that more people have access to. And there's a lot of practitioners that are now have perfected it. And you're seeing for osteoarthritis.
Yeah. That's kind of like not Prolo, PRP or whatever.
So if you're looking at the regenerative scale, so PRP or prolotherapy is kind of on the lowest end of the spectrum because it's really just dextrose, sugar water.
Right.
So the reason that works is you're just kind of changing you're injecting something, you're getting a little bit of relief, but there's no regenerative benefits. Then you're moving up to PRP, which has growth factors, but the PRP is only as good as the individual it's coming from.
So the DEXA thing is only temporary.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And then after PRP, we have exosomes. And then after exosomes, we have stem cells at the highest. Because remember, the stem cells are also releasing exosomes and are more potent.
What's something you won't do even if it's popular?
I guess my answer will be anything that I haven't scientifically vetted that I feel has a greater benefit than the risk, right? And what for a while, I didn't do EBOO for a while because I wasn't convinced of it. Then I continued to read some more papers. Okay, I think that again, still with caution, but then I did it. The NKs, it took a while. Once we had that publication, we knew in theory how it would work, but once we had that publication, I'm in.
That's funny. I didn't know you were like that. I thought you were more like, I'll do it.
Right, because you only hear from me after I've done it.
I know.
But you haven't heard about my mindset to get there.
Like if you were to call me and say, there's this new thing, dude, they're doing whatever. I'd be like, Brian says, dude, I'm going to go do it.
But the good thing, now when I call you with that, know I've done my homework for you.
Right. No, that's what I mean. It's kind of like with some of these, there's like Dr. Mark Hyman. You know that guy?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I trust that dude. I bumped him at the airport one time. It was like I met Justin Bieber. I freaked out. But it's like, I will do whatever that guy says to a certain degree.
And Mark was very public about an issue, a health issue that he had.
He had a stem cell issue.
I mean, I think technically he had an adverse event. I mean, I don't think it's been publicly disclosed what was the cause, but
no, I think it has been.
It has been?
Yes, I think I read all about it not that long ago. That's why I said it was a stem cell thing.
Yeah, but I know that he was, he had he felt, pretty bad, and he had to overcome a health journey, which he publicly spoke about.
Right.
And sometimes, the road to hell is paved with good intention. So we think that we've done things the right way, and we could have a bad outcome, right? And medicine practiced perfectly may still yield an imperfect outcome.
Oh, that's pretty powerful.
Well, hey, you heard it here first.
So we talked about your morning routine. What about your night routine?
My night routine is play with the kids, unwind. No,
that's important, man. That's really important.
Very important. I think there's no bigger rush of dopamine than just having that, getting home and having them, after a long day and basically taking on the world and all the problems and trying to help everybody get better, then you're trying to get your home better. And I think that's a big deal. That helps cure the soul. So I spend some time with them. I have a light dinner. I will then, kind of catch up with my wife, and from there, then I'll do, again, either like we discussed, I either do a hot shower and then a hot and cold shower. Sometimes I don't have the luxury of going out to the plunge. I'll just do very hot shower, very cold shower, just to kind of, get that going. I will take my night supplements, which I take a lot of, for instance, I'll take arterosil, which is good for kind of for the strengthening the glycocalyx of the heart. I'll take my garlic and my and I take some black pepper. Some things that
Do you take the black pepper?
Yeah.
Somebody sent that to me, told me that it was the best thing in the world, and I was afraid to take it.
Yeah, I'm taking again. It took me a while, to get there. I'm gonna take it for 3 months.
Oh, so you just started taking it?
Yeah, I just started taking it. But again, if it helps binding with, toxins and whatnot, anything that can help, I'm more about eliminating something than I am about adding something.
What about the aterosol? I was on that for a while. And then I did a blood panel, and my doctor was going over everything with me. And she said that this, and I'll show it to you when I have it, that it's BS.
Well, I mean, again, from the it's just a supplement, right? So it's not a drug. So I can see why the doctor may say that it's BS, but I know there's no downside to it. A and B, from the studies, independent studies I've seen, strengthening the glycocalyx is extremely important, because the stronger that inner wall is, right? So think of like the inside of your hose. the stronger that is, the less likely you are to get a bubble or something.
Mm-hmm.
That's great, especially for heart health. So
Okay.
we have a lot of patients.
The good news is for me is that I'm driving you when we leave here. And so I'm going to stop by my house with you, and we're going to go over my stuff.
We're gonna go check out your stuff, and I'm pretty sure you're gonna have way more things than I take. I'm really big on simplicity because if I've gone a few days and I've missed certain things, I know I've taken on too much. So I will always reset myself, and I'll shed because I need to keep it practice. I'm telling you, treatment fatigue and dollar fatigue. I don't want either of those to happen.
You know what I do? I start adding is I take a shot of olive oil. Do you do that too?
Olive oil is great, but again, it's make sure you have, because there's such a big racket with olive oil. Seems like a big racket. I love honey. Finding like legit sources is so important. Because otherwise, all you're doing is making your soul feel good, but then you're not getting any improvements.
Well, I'll run that by you too. So I do. I also just start taking some Metamucil.
Metamucil, okay. Fiber.
Yeah, and this no one told me to do this, but I take apple cider vinegar and I mix it in water and I chug it before I eat.
Yeah, and look, if we're looking at each of these things that you're taking, there's therapeutic benefits to all. But what I'd like to see is how cumulatively these are helping move your needle greater than the amount of effort it's taking you to get them.
Right. Wait, what'd you say first? $1 and what's the other one?
Treatment fatigue and dollar fatigue.
Yeah, treatment fatigue. But I think I'm so OCD, I won't have treatment fatigue because I kind of love doing it all, seeing where I am and what I'm doing.
No, listen, man, and you've definitely become. You're so passionate about this.
I am.
Like when I get a Johnjay call, I'm like, I know there's a good question coming.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah.
I love ReHealth. I love Gentera, and I'm a big fan of Immunocene. I didn't know you were involved in Immunocene too, which is an incredible program.
Man, let me tell you that Immunocene and the way we kind of stumbled upon them. Dr. Gonzalez brought Dr. Halpert, who's really been a pioneer in this dendritic cell therapy research for many years. It's a technology out of Baylor. And a lot of times when you're coming out of the lab, in the lab so many things work, but then it's going in vivo, right? In live into patients. And when we saw that their initial clinical study that they filed for their US company was in glioblastoma, which is the most aggressive type of brain cancer.
That's what my mother died of that.
Yeah, and it's, as you know, unfortunately, I'm sure.
She had a GBM4.
Right.
The worst kind you could have.
And lifespan less than 18 months, right?
18 months exactly, which is pretty long.
Which is pretty long.
Yeah.
So you're looking at 18 months at the higher end of the spectrum. So when we saw them take that on, I go, you're either crazy or your therapy works. Or maybe a little of both. And after seeing the initial brain scans and seeing patients that were 18, 24 months out with what they call NED or no evidence of disease, we were like, we've never seen this before. Because dendritic cells, just to understand and very basic, dendritic cells are like the alarm system of your immune system. So they're meant to notify your immune system that there's an intruder, and then all the other guys come to action, the NKs, the T cells, killer T cells. But if your immune system is fooled that there's no intruder, then that's how, and cancer does a great job of doing that. So for a lot of years, we knew dendritic cells, what their therapeutic value was, but no one had been able to correctly activate them to do what they needed to do. And Immunocene was the first one to actually, using their proprietary double loading technology, was able to do was, in essence, we take the DNA makeup of the solid tumor, right? We then draw your blood via an apheresis.
And you make a vaccine.
Yeah, we're making a vaccine, but from your
tumor, specifically for that person.
We will then isolate the dendritic cells and we will feed it the DNA makeup of your tumor.
It's incredible.
And then we will inject near one of the tumors and the nearest lymph nodes within 14 days apart. So it's 3 treatments, 14 days apart. So 42 days is the total treatment. And what we've seen, and I can show you images of a patient that I refer. I mean, it is impressive. Thank God, people that came to us with months to live, stage 4, multiple mets throughout their body, are cancer-free and alive today.
It's incredible, man.
There is no bigger reward than that.
I push people to Immunocene all the time. I push people to ReHealth all the time. And when it comes to Gentera, so you don't have to live in Miami.
No, you don't.
So you guys do like telemed, or
we'll do telemed, and like I said, we're going to be setting up outposts. We have doctors that have licenses in multiple states, so that allows us to be able to see patients. And generally, who doesn't want to come to Miami once a year, anyways?
I know.
So it's not a very difficult proposition to get people to our clinic.
I went there. I've only been to Miami one time, and I ate at some restaurant that's famous for crab legs. And it was the most expensive meal in the world.
Joe's.
That's it. Yeah.
Joe's is actually in the book, I think 1,000 things that you have to do before you die.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, good. You can check that one off.
Yeah.
All right, Brian, thanks for being on my
Thank you so
podcast,
much.
brother.
Thanks
I really
always.
appreciate it. I think you're an amazing human being, bro.
Hey, you as well, man. Thanks.
Follow him also on Instagram at
Thank
Brian
you.
Plow. All right. Okay, so welcome to our podcast. This is a little bit different today because this podcast is a spin-off of our radio show.